And,
it's an honor to be back on your show.
It's really exciting to have you here. It's been a while since we talked, and part of it was just because life was so busy. And the other part is like, well, it's good in a way we haven't heard from you because now you're going to have a lot of updates for us. So
yes, I do.
What is going on right now in the cosmos? And tell us about your latest research.
Planet Nibiru orbits through our system between Jupiter and Mars. It comes in on a high angle. Robert S. Harrington figured out between 35 and 40 degrees above our ecliptic, which all of our planets orbit on. It goes through underneath our sun, back out. It orbits through clockwise. Every planet in our system orbits counterclockwise with the exception of Pluto. Pluto orbits clockwise also. The Earth is orbiting right towards Nibiru as it's heading out now. That's why the people in charge built all the deep underground military bunkers around the planet. That's why they built all of the emergency seed vaults. That's why they built FEMA camps for, and blah, 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 all the way down the list. We have been seeing since April of 2015 four, I repeat, four of Nibiru's, either their planets, because Nibiru is about the size of Jupiter, if not larger, or their moons. The orbits are quite huge. We've seen a bluish-looking moon or planet with stripes on it. We've seen a silverish-looking thing that was caught in the skies above Hawaii a while back.
I'm looking on the photos. I'm looking on the photos, and there is like a, it looks like it might be Hawaii. It looks like a palm tree there. I'm going to click on it and enlarge it. And this is on the Aquarian Radio website for those who want to take a look.
Each one of those photographs have a date on them.
Now look at this thing. It says February 18th of 2016. So that was just a little while ago.
Let me get.
That's the one you were looking at. There's one that almost looks like the moon, but it doesn't really look like our moon. It's got some pockets in it, like.
Okay, hold on. I'm getting to it. I'm going to it.
Go ahead.
Going to it right now.
Can you see this, Sash? Sasha has joined us. Yay!
How's it going, Doc? Okay,
great.
Okay, you're talking about February what?
18th.
February 18th. Okay. Yes, 2016. Okay. February 8th.
No, that kind of looks like palm trees.
No, there's several satellites
two
around the larger body. I see exactly what you're saying.
Okay, so February 8th, you said?
18th.
18th, sorry. Okay, 18th.
It says on the picture it says 02/18/2016, but on the time was 02/25/2016B.
Yeah, it looks like they're real.
And Karen, if you can, I'm sorry you're not by computer. I should have.
Okay, so it's 02/25. Okay.
2016, and this is on for those listeners who are maybe joining us later in the archives. It's on aquariumradio.com. It's
here we go. Yes.
April. Okay, April 5th is when I put this page up.
Oh.
Robert Evans Jr. This is the what you're going to look for is Robert Evans Jr. We the Anunnaki with Janet.
Okay,
Karen,
I've got the photograph. That photograph is showing. That photograph is showing one of the four planets or moons. It was caught in the sky, and you can see it's heavily cratered, but it's not our moon. That is not our moon.
And that
A
was
lot of
where
people.
in Hawaii, you're saying?
The person would not tell. The
Okay,
person would not tell me where it was caught because a lot of these photographs are taken off web cameras from resorts and stuff. And a lot of the web cameras have been shut off to a different way so they can't see anything anymore. So that, now this one thing, I have this at least 5 or 6 times since 2015. It's the same thing every time.
Large moon. Okay, you've seen that in other pictures. And so here's one that looks like our sun, and it's dated 3/17/2017. 3/17. Yeah, 0317.
That thing, you still there? Or there? That thing was caught using a telescope. That's the reddish one. There's only one red one amongst the 4 things. Through history,
what do you think that is?
That is wormwood. That is wormwood from the Holy Bible. It's the destroyer from the ancient Egyptian text by Ipuwer. Ipuwer described it very clearly as a huge reddish mass in the skies over Egypt during the Exodus.
Sun. It looks like it's right up, like
right
to the side of the sun.
Exactly. The Colburn said that this thing would hide near our sun for quite a time, then suddenly it would start showing up away from it. And that's what it's been doing now. People are seeing it more over in Europe than we are over here. Although my friend Dawn Hull up in Washington State, she has a camera that can film in the infrared band.
Right.
And she has caught many, many pictures of huge red things in her skies.
Now,
red
what about
meaning
this one that's blue? It's like the whole thing is kind of blue, so I don't know if the planet's blue, but
but what's the significance of red you were starting to say, Bob?
Right.
The red with an infrared camera indicates heat. Okay, because infrared will see everything but just that heat thing. It's a heat signature. So when the skies were all cloudy and everything, she points her camera up into the sky, and she's seeing these big heat, massive heat signatures in the skies over the Earth. Our moon does not give off a heat signature.
Wow.
Something does.
So what's the size of these red things?
I honestly do not know. During the Exodus, the destroyer, a huge reddish mass, took up to 1/5 of the skies from the horizon upwards during the Exodus.
Wow.
Now, I know I sent you one of the photographs from January. This thing was caught in the skies over Florence, Italy. One of my friends was looking on the horizon, and she didn't like what she saw. 0102.
Okay.
0102 2016A.
Okay.
Firenze.
Okay, you see that kind of a big reddish thing in the sky? She didn't know what it was.
That's Mexico.
Oh, that's one's Mexico that I have. Okay, I got the wrong one.
It's 0102 216A. That's an enhanced version of the photograph. 0102 216. I didn't send you this one. Shows it just you can barely see it. Now she caught the same thing in her skies again on January 8th, 216B.
Okay.
Can you see that one?
I took them out of order. I have to go look. Yeah.
Our listeners may be having trouble hearing these.
Huh? Yeah, but the listeners don't see this. So, listeners, if you want to go over to our website, which is aquariumradio.com, and click on the show with Bob Evans. Anyway, so maybe we should go. We're going to invite them to come look at these pictures.
Sure.
And see for yourself. Because it's really hard. I think I see the one you're talking about. So, 108 2016A. It's really big. What is that? It's so bright. It's very large. See this, honey? Look at it close. It's very large.
She was looking.
It's larger than our
seeing,
sun.
Exactly. She saw this huge red thing, but the skies were kind of cloudy, and she had bad reflections on the earlier photograph. Her friends would say, "Oh, it's not real. It's not real." So she had the image enhanced twice. And it came out with the January 8th, 216A. Okay? And then she had the image reversed, saying that was white became black. And that's the one that was done on January 12th, 216. And you can see this massive thing that's larger than our sun, because our sun was off to the left of the sun. That is a huge planet or moon that orbits around the planet Nibiru.
So the theory I've heard is that they've been masking this by, that's one of the main reasons.
The chemtrails, exactly. The chemtrails are doing several things. One of them is hiding these things in our skies. Only when it's really super clear can it be seen. It's been seen over Germany, over Scotland, over Ireland, over Italy. I sent you a video that just came in a little bit ago where it was seen over Hong Kong. This huge red mass in the skies.
I'll have to go.
So more and more people are seeing this thing. See, the Earth is orbiting right towards it. Them. Okay, that's why they're growing larger and larger and larger in our skies. My contact says that these things will be very clear in our skies, very clear, by June of this year.
Okay. Well, that'll be good.
Now, who and what is my contact?
Yeah.
My contact is a Palladian 7B. Her name is Sonia.
Now,
how do I know this?
Human form or Palladian form or interdimensional or physical? How do you know this? Yeah.
She wouldn't answer this. I've been on the Eric Brown show with the Cosmic Cafe.
Yeah.
And we did 2 sessions where I was hypnotized.
Oh.
Hypnosis is something very interesting. I had no recollection of time. And during the first session, her name is Lori McDonald.
Yeah,
she deals primarily with people who have been abducted. And Lori were asking questions, and I actually saw this woman. She keeps her distance from me during. It's like I'm seeing her from at least 20 feet. She's got a human-like body, and she's constantly telling me to do my job, find all these photographs, and she's actually been helping me, I guess, by making books and photographs and stuff easier to get.
Wow.
These things, the powers that be, the world's leaders, have known this since 1954. President Eisenhower met with 3 alien races in what's now called Edwards Air Force Base. One was the Greys, the other one was a reptilian-looking race, the other one was a interdimensional race called the Etherians. You there?
Yeah.
Our breath was baited.
Yeah. Well, on my side it said unmuted. So Eisenhower went to Holloman Air Force Base in 1955. His Air Force One landed and stopped at the end of the runway, shut down the entire field, including all of the early Doppler radar systems. Eisenhower asked for that specifically. Then 2 flying saucers showed up. One landed right in front of Air Force One, and he met with what was then called the Nordic. Tall, humanoid-type people, 6-7 foot tall, blonde hair, blue eyes. The Vatican leaked all this information in early 2000 to an Italian reporter. So the Vatican has been in on this for quite some time. Probably all of the other major religions too. They know what's going to happen, and they're not going to sit on the sidelines. They're going to be out there looking for people that still remember them and start everything over again. Our U.S. government built all of the FEMA camps. They placed millions of these 3 to 5 person caskets in front of each one and buried them. They put into effect a huge, massive ammo buy-up for each government agency from the post office all the way down. Massive amounts of ammunition and guns. They built or converted numerous Max Car train cars. Normally, these train cars are 3 levels. You see them on the railroad tracks hauling automobiles.
Right.
They took out the middle level, making it 2 levels. And they put these big plates over each area where you could look in, and they have minute little holes for air in. They have shackles inside of these train cars. The FEMA camps...
Okay, so let's pause right there for a moment. Cause
I'm so cheered.
It's getting too dark for me.
I'm sorry. I really am,
okay,
but, you know, this is exactly what they've been planning. There's no way around it.
We're not still on that timeline. Okay, I want to give my other co-host a chance to talk for one moment here.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Karen,
go ahead.
Right. That's okay.
It was the thing that I gave you. Could you bring it out?
Let's give Karen a chance to talk. So, no, here, it's right here, honey. I'll pull it up. So, Karen, let's give you a chance to comment, talk, ask questions. Because Karen's got some information that kind of contrary to. Anyway, it's not anyway, it's different. So go ahead, and Karen, you talk while we pull up this. I did find the thing about the meeting that AR board.
Yeah, that's what I said. Yes.
But Karen, go ahead. Your turn. We're passing the ball around. So Karen,
well, since we're bringing up AR board, and I think that's good for me to talk about as well. As I said, as we were chatting before the show started, that AR Borden was involved in a group of renegade physicists who didn't really give their real name. They were basically studying all these issues, and his term, or I don't know if it was his term, but they called it the incoming. You know, it's a kind of a euphemism. The Nibiru was the incoming, and AR didn't believe exactly that just the insiders should be knowing about this, so he recruited people who were intuitive and where sensing something was happening and had an ET connection, in a group that we all met each other on a forum that was named after the original renegade physicist forum called the Light Physics Group. And we all got to know each other and have kept in touch. But we were kind of outsiders, or I call it the latter-day AR Borden saints. You know, we were kind of latter-day, and he was giving us information about all this. And people can contact us for more information. We've got a group called the Writings of AR Borden, if anybody's interested, on Facebook. And also, Michael Lee Hill has been on with us a few times. He was told by AR Borden to start a new group to continue to disseminate this information. And he named it Michael Lee Hill. AR Borden told Michael to name it after the group, the Linkage Institute, which was a study group of some kind that existed. And so that's also, you can find that on Facebook, the Linkage Institute. And these ideas are getting out. He wrote many papers. The aforementioned anonymous scientists under pseudonyms wrote papers with him, you know, talking about, you know, the effects of this, or the doomsday scenario, which I'm with Janet. I don't want to think that has to be that way. I don't know if they were preparing for worst case scenario or what, but they, generally speaking, like that movie Armageddon, or what was it? 2012, right? A couple years ago,
yes.
and at the beginning of the movie, they say, "What would the government tell their people if something like this was going to happen?" And it said they wouldn't, you know. So basically, right. So you know, it's like, which was not one of my favorite movies. Someday I'll tell you why. But you know, so here was the thing was well, yeah, the elites got saved and left us, you know, out of the deal. But anyway, just saying. But
right.
yeah, no, that's the thing is that there's been this. Well, okay, going back in history, flipping the other way, not looking to the future but to the past, as we know from Zechariah Sitchin and everything that Sasha Lesson's been putting out there, is that there's been a cyclical nature to our history, where we've had cataclysms and a rebirth of civilization that builds up probably to about where we are now, pre-space flight or perhaps having early space flight, and then something happens and knocks us back to the Stone Age, more or less. And so this cyclical view of history is, you know, kind of what they're studying also, these study groups, because it's showing this pattern. And I just looked into Isaac Asimov. And, of course, they've been trying to reveal information through science fiction writers for years. And Isaac Asimov wrote a short story called Nightfall. And it was this planet where they were studying how come every 2,000 years the planet, all the houses burn down, and it seems like everyone goes crazy and their civilization has to start over again. And for them, it was that they always had suns, and their suns would suddenly not be in the sky, and for the first time ever, they would see stars, and they'd go crazy because it was dark and burn their houses down to get light. And it's an interesting story, but I think he was alluding to this cyclical view of history. So this is
exactly
where we're at. Yeah, well, are we there yet? You know, is it our turn?
Well, okay. Like I said, Nibiru orbits clockwise through our solar system. The Earth orbits counterclockwise. Now, just like Marshall Masters said in one of his videos, the Earth is not in the same location every time, every 3,600 years. So on some accounts, the Earth feels next to nothing. If it's closer in its orbit, it feels something. If it's right there where it shouldn't be, it gets the bleep kicked out of it. Hollywood has been warning the public for quite some time now. With the movie Independence Day, ID4, the president was outed of the loop, knowing about the aliens and the base there at Area 51. Deep Impact, a black U.S. president, outed the fact that the deep underground military bases were built in every country around the planet and to their own standards, and they could only hold 2,000 people. Everyone else was on their own. The movie Battle L.A. had numerous asteroids coming through our atmosphere, and these asteroids had these aliens and their stuff in the asteroids. Well, if anyone remembers the comet Elenin, the comet Elenin was not a comet. A friend of mine at NASA, we were following it through the amateur astronomers, and it didn't look right. Then there was a nice article out of Russia called Elenin was in direct contact with a Jupiter-sized planet that's following behind it. So my friend at NASA really enlarged the images up, and they got worse and worse. Then there was a nice article out of China saying that Comet Elenin had spaceships piggyback to it. That blew it for my NASA friend. He enlarged it up so big. The image, I have the images. I can send them to Janet to see this.
Yeah.
Here's this tiny little comet at the very front and this massive force field behind it. And all these globulars were inside this massive force field. The NASA guy went nuts. He said he never even thought of a magnetic field like that. Then I didn't really hear much after that. Then there was the movie 2012. The biggest thing in there was when the characters were on a plane heading towards China. And when the Earth's crust shifted, they became 1,000-something miles closer to China than they should have been. And they talked about this one scientist, and I can't remember his name right now, where he had a theory of Earth crustal displacement. But he wasn't the first person to talk about Earth crustal displacement or pole shift. Edgar Cayce, the sleeping prophet, before he died in 1945, he used the exact term. And he had several maps made up showing the United States after this coming pole shift. The entire West Coast was gone except for major islands. The West Coast new shoreline was near Denver, Colorado. The Great Lakes had ripped right down through the United States to the Gulf of Mexico. The East Coast was mostly gone. About 25 years ago, every high-ranking military official was giving a briefing before they retired. They were told they would have 3 days' notice, and they had to have everything ready. Then they would be bugged out, them and their families. They were given a map. The map, they were told, do not ever leak this. The map matches Edgar Cayce's map, almost to a T.
Do you have any pictures of Edgar Cayce's map? I've never seen Edgar Cayce's. I know there was a bunch of maps years ago that I saw. If you could send that to me, that'd be great.
Yes. See,
go on.
And years ago, 2012. I'm sorry if I mention a different radio show here. If you can bleep it if you want.
Fine with that radio show.
There was a person called Just Call Me Kit. Just Call Me Kit. She still has a YouTube name. She was on the Orion radio show. I copied it. She was a Tea Party Republican following all of the spending because she knew exactly where on the web to see it. And the U.S. government was pulling everything of substantial value away from all 3 U.S. coastlines. They were building, this is 2012, they were building 4 enormous dry food, frozen food storage facilities right in the middle of the United States. She gave the state numbers, state names. The states were divided into A, B, C, and D. Each A had so many states, what states they were, B, C, and D. These things were starting at $74 billion, and they had to build 4 of them. This one lady, I checked on her YouTube account, she did one more show with someone else, and she hasn't been heard from since. The remote viewers, Dr. Courtney Brown specifically, he had a remote viewing challenge from 2008 until June 1st of 2013. All of his remote viewers, I think there was like 14 of them, they all came up with massive asteroid strikes in all of the oceans around the planet, causing enormous tidal waves. The Hawaiian Islands were wiped clean. Sydney, Australia was hit, and everyone was running from the shorelines, getting away. They had no food, no emergency transport, nothing. One asteroid hit in the Indian Ocean, causing a massive tsunami to go all the way up to the Mount Kilimanjaro. West Coast, the East Coast was heavily damaged. They could smell rotting plants. They could see people using debris to make some type of housing to sleep under. Luckily, that didn't happen. Okay? NASA leaked.
And we know why.
Yes. NASA leaked.
Okay, yeah, go ahead. You finish your thought, and then we're going to give you another piece of information. So NASA leaked what?
NASA's been leaking a number of information since the early 50s all the way up until the last one, which was 2009. 2009 showed 6 planets of the Nemesis star system, which orbits around our solar system. Planet 6 is the planet Nibiru. And they projected in 2009 that on December 21st, 2012, interesting day, I wonder who else was using that same date, that Planet 6 would be 20 astronomical units away from orbiting through our solar system. So they knew we wouldn't see anything on December 21st, 2012. I sent all this stuff to an astronomer friend who was doubting what I was saying, what I was showing. He said, "Where'd you get this?" He worked out the orbital speed of Nibiru from all the information that was there. He said we wouldn't see it until December of 2014. And lo and behold, in the skies over South Carolina, the second red sun, which everyone was saying was a defect from digital cameras, it suddenly had the wings on both sides. People over in Europe started seeing all these things in their night skies, one after another, until on April 10th, 2015, in the skies over Antarctica, the Neumayer Station number 3, which had been following something for quite some time, saw it very clearly. It was a huge moon or planet with stripes on it. And everyone said, Bob, that's just blah, 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 blah. Then a friend of mine back in Illinois caught it in her skies in color on April 29th, 2015. And it's been going fast ever since. I'm sorry, I talk too much.
Nope, that's okay. We're just going round robin here. Sasha, you wanted to share something?
Oh, yeah. There was a thing by Borden that I'd like to read about. What he basically says is that the extraterrestrials that are interested in this planet has saved us, that they shifted us into a parallel timeline, so we bypassed Nibiru's visit to our inner solar system. Borden says they moved our planet to a time after Nibiru passed through the system. He said how Earth was shifted into a parallel timeline after it went by, that the ETs had successfully tested the technology, when we wrote about this in the beginning, and put it in place, and it would momentarily, so quote, momentarily cloak our medium from the rest of our solar system space-time ratio. The Earth solar system would go through a tunnel and come out the other end, and what Borden said, hopefully on the same timeline as it entered the wake. And he wrote, the operative word here is hopefully. Well, I guess we made it.
Yeah, and I just wanted to add to that this is from the executive, the 13th annual gathering of the Link Association, which took place between Wednesday, January 5th, and Friday, the 14th of January in 2011 at an undisclosed location in the southern hemisphere of the American continent. And present were all city members of the Link gathering and 17 observers from 6 observer member biotimes, 3 members from the Life Physics Group of California, A.R. Borden, managing scientist Robert B. Solingen, director of research, and James T. Traveler, exopolitical constituencies, human beings. Anyway, they the members came from various planets, and they name all the planets like Beta Hydrus, Mu Arae, Upsilon Andromedae, Fomalhaut, Jalise, etc. It's like meeting minute notes, and there were some Anunnaki from say High, which is Nibiru. And so observer, there were other members from like biotypes. Those present were humanoids, 16 different planet origins, sauroid, 8 different planet origins, hybrid humanoid, sauroid, 2 different planet origins, and hybrid human crystalloids, 2 different planet origins. And so they were trying to figure out what to do. This was in 2011 when we were coming up on, the very famous 12-21-12, what to do, because we were on a collision course. And as lesson read, is that they had an experiment. They were going to shift us out of time phase, out of this collision course, and that they were successful. It was experimental. But they had kind of played it out and thought it was going to work, and the alternative was not acceptable, so they went ahead and did it, and we got shifted out of the course. And of course, the Nibiru's passing isn't always catastrophic, but this is encouraging, and I wanted to have Karen address this. And the paper I'm talking about. It's the 13th annual gathering of the Link Association, January 2011 briefing. So, Karen, you have any comments on that? Go ahead.
Yeah, because one of the things that probably should be known, or what A.R. Borden was talking about, was insider groups having pretty extensive contact with extraterrestrial races about, the Earth-human dilemma, the situation. There's a couple things, because we're kind of along for the ride, no matter what the planet's going to do, right? And we are at a pre-first contact scenario. Although many individuals have been contacted, governments have been contacted, the concept of first contact is a global phenomenon where everybody knows. It hasn't happened to us yet. And, of course, we're painted into a corner by religion, politics, and government conspiring together to keep us in the dark about extraterrestrial, fairly crowded universe that we're in. So, man, on any given day, I have to admit I'm all over the place on the Nibiru question. I'm an optimist. I was raised a pessimist, an extreme pessimist in my household. My father was a conspiracy theory guy, and his hazard wasn't particularly Nibiru Armageddon, but that the communists were going to take over the world and they were going to be killed. So, I was kind of raised in that pessimistic way as a young person, and I sort of decided somewhere during the course of my life that, okay, so if we completely get destroyed, then at least I'm going to be happy till the end, or I'm going to be positive to the end, no matter what happens. Because if the way you live your life philosophically is negative in any way, it takes away from your quality of life today, now that you have. But what's important is a number of things to focus in on. One thing is, no matter what happens to us, has happened to us, whatever is in the timeline, it's very important to know that the governments believe this. They believed it from studies by the Vatican. That was included in their Armageddon scenario. For instance, that we just said the planet Wormwood, which is in the Revelation, as being something that strikes the Earth and kills and destroys and poisons the water of, 1/3 of the Earth. So they really did believe in these prophecies, which could have been not just prophecies, but recounts of earlier times that Nibiru came true. In other words, it was they were hedging their bets because of the fact that this had already happened, and they had evidence of that, evidence that they didn't always tell us about. They kept us to at least a religious narrative that humanity kind of went from caveman to where we are now in about 6,000 years, or Adam and Eve, or either one, and pretty primitive to jet planes and going to space. But honestly, we're finding now through out of time parts, OOPARTS, and basically it's artifacts out of their proper time frame, which is either a time travel thing or it is these earlier iterations. So the thing about it is, so let me go back to the movie 2012, which again I disliked because all the billionaires got to be on the arks and we were all really in a bad way. And I think the missing part of that movie, by the way, if everybody remembers it, the elite and one very lucky family ends up in these arks, which were up in the Himalaya mountains, I think, and they were basically arks, just like Noah's Ark. They had animals in them. They had a nice, comfortable accommodations for all the elite people. The queen got to save her dogs, her corgi dogs, Right. They had all the world leaders there. And basically, I got the feeling, at least when I, kind of been through this, is that the arks in question were not tickets to an ark that's going to potentially be endangered on the surface of the Earth, but actually spacefaring. Because some of the documentation is that you're going to pay $1 billion to get a ticket off planet, or
a submarine.
Space. Yeah, or in a deep. Go ahead.
Or a submarine or submerged.
Yeah, submarine. Yeah, you could be down the Mariana Trench, would be in pretty good shape. So yeah, they had these escape plans. We just watched a movie from, I think it's the 80s or 70s, called Alternative 3, which was the idea that, this is what they were going to do. They were going to take us off planet to Mars. They were going to take us up in a space capsule. They were going to take us to the recent movie Packing for Mars that's out. It's about how the plan was to take a colony up to Mars, and ostensibly we have one, possibly one on the moon. I mean, they were just going to skedaddle while the Earth was, shaped like an Etch-a-Sketch and recycled, I guess, through this thing. But the thing is, they really, by virtue of, as you kind of dig through the secret literature, by virtue of how much preparation that Bob was talking about earlier, they believed it. So, like, if we passed the threshold of danger, let's say 2012 was the banner year for this, we've got an interesting conundrum because the disaster didn't happen, and they have taken the resources of the planet for their Alternative 3 plan and left most of the surface people in very destitute situation, economic disaster for most people. Most people are in a declining situation. Okay, now like this Panama Papers thing that's going on. We're having this apocalypso, this revelation of what just happened, basically. And they've got to tell us either what's happening or what's happened, because how long, I mean, up to the point where you see several planets up in the sky that didn't used to be there, you know, how are they going to reveal this to us? And I got to say, one of the things, too, is that I've been an astronomer since I was a little kid. I have noticed when you go out to look in the night sky, you only see the major stars and major constellations. You see way less of these smaller pinpoint kinds of stars, or less of the track of the Milky Way than you used to be able to, leading to the idea that the chemtrailing has been to shield the daytime sky and the nighttime sky from whatever it is that they don't want us to see. So they've put, obviously, a tremendous amount of resources into this event. So if the event isn't going to happen as scripted, we're in an interesting position, because the only way they can get out of this is we're going to have to know the truth. Otherwise, we're going to have to explain, why did they do that? Why did they prepare that?
Sasha wants to say something. Okay, and then we'll go back.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, he's got his hand raised.
From my perspective, you know, the Maya, when Kukulkan, who's Thoth, or Nagashita left the Maya in 311 BCE, he said, I'm going to come back December 21st, 2012. I'm going to bring with me 9 gods and 13 gods. And the way that's obviously saying that the gods are also the way they allude to the planets, and so that it's way, there it is. And it takes another step when you look at the politics of Nibiru, because King Anu had abdicated and made Nanar king, and he had basically been instructed by the powers of the Federation in Kalzu to stop Marduk pitting us against each other and warring with Nanar's men here on Earth and assassinating each other and so forth, and that he's putting Enki in charge of this next Satyuga, this era. And indeed, I wouldn't be at all surprised if the Anunnaki that were part of this effort by the linkage, were right there in the descendants of Anu, who takes very seriously this mission that they've been given by Kalzu. It's my input.
Okay. Where do you want the ball to go?
To Janet.
All right. So I'm going to pass it back. Karen, were you done? Because I think you raised the point, and then we'll go back to Bob.
Oh, no, yeah, I was just throwing that out there, because that's just the amount of spending that they've done, where they've literally, the 1% of 1% got practically everything, and the rest of us have a fraction of what they've got. That's a reflection of what another economist, Catherine Austin Fitts, called the UFO budget, or, there's some kind of weird black hole in the budget of the United States and the global economy where a bunch of resources are going, and where did it go? And so that's an indication right there.
Okay. Back to you, Bob, for a round. And let's see, coming up on the top of the hour. I think we're trying to go about 90 minutes here. So if you could just kind of watch the clock, go about between 5 and 10 minutes, and then pause a little bit and ask the other panel members if they have any comments.
You got it.
Feedback. Okay, thank you so much. Go ahead.
Movie 2012. They leaked so much information in that movie, I'm surprised the people weren't arrested. Near the end of the movie, you see a Chinese monk sitting up in his monastery. He feels the wind. He turns around, he hears the oceans coming over the mountains. That's from ancient history. Emperor Yao. Chinese Emperor Yao. Y-O-U or Y-A-H-O-U. He said that this thing came out of the constellation of Yin, and it caused the oceans to top the high mountains of China. It took them 13 years to drain the salt water from the high mountain valleys back down to the rivers. He had to send around 4 teams. They had to find out where north, south, east, and west was again. of Enki, Zechariah Sitchin. In that book, if anyone's read it, from tablets number 9, number 10, the Anunnaki knew that Nibiru's orbit was altered by the 7 from the Earth out to Pluto. And it was getting closer and closer and closer towards Mars. And they also knew that the Earth would be on the wrong side of the solar system, and so would Mars. It caused heavy damage to both the Earth and the Mars. It ripped away Mars's atmosphere. They couldn't use as a mid-place for the melting of the gold and other minerals they were taking from the Earth. It caused all of the ice to be ripped off of Antarctica, causing a huge ring of water to go up to the North Pole, back down to the South Pole, up to the North Pole, back and forth. Okay, the Kolbrin has a part almost exactly as if it was taken directly from Zechariah Sitchin. It says the ark was built in 7 days by Ziusudra, the other name for Noah.
Right.
It was built, it had 3 decks, and then a smaller deck up on top. Each one of the decks were split in 2, right in the middle, making 6 decks. Each deck had a water cistern which was tarred inside and out. You can't drink from a tarred cistern. You'd be dead. They were ballast tanks. The account says it wasn't just Noah or Ziusudra who went on board. It was the king and one person from every trade going down the line.
What was the ballast tanks for? Explain that to me a little bit. What do you mean?
It's submerged.
What is it for?
It's submerged. Right. It's submerged almost to a point, but it never went completely underwater. Mm-hmm. When the ark was lifted off, they felt intense heat and intense cold. Right in that account. Uh-huh. 2 other authors, English authors, came up with several books years ago, and they explained using a different name for something very massive coming near the Earth, slowing the Earth's rotation down. Now, where's all the water around our planet? It's at the equators. The Earth's rotation slows down, the water settles back down around the entire planet, making it deeper, deeper, deeper. The winds wouldn't stop. They would keep going. That's the intense heat. The Hopis are also in this. The Hopi peoples. The ancient prophecy said that the 3rd Hopi world died by water, and that the Earth's rotation was reversed. That's where the cold came in. Because as the Earth was reversed and it started to spin back up, everything was frozen. All those nice mammoths up there that still have nice green stuff in their stomachs and in their throats. I wonder how that ever happened.
Quick freeze.
Then, exactly. So how did the Hopis know that the Earth's rotation was reversed? These 2 authors in these
obviously somebody survived something.
The authors from these 2 books said the exact same thing. It reversed the Earth's rotation. Now the Hopis are hoping that at the end of the 4th world, which is very quickly coming, that the Earth's rotation will be reversed. Now, back to your other thing. I'll try and make it really fast.
That sounds like what Gordon was describing, reversed.
Yeah. The
And,
It's an honor to be
boy,
back on your show.
It's really exciting to have you here. It's been a while since we talked, and part of it was just because life was so busy, and the other part is like, well, it's good in a way we haven't heard from you because now you're going to have a lot of updates for us. So
Yes, I do.
What is going on right now in the cosmos? And tell us about your latest research.
Planet Nibiru orbits through our system between Jupiter and Mars. It comes in on a high angle. Robert S. Harrington figured out between 35 and 40 degrees above our ecliptic, which all of our planets orbit on. It goes through underneath our sun, back out. It orbits through clockwise. Every planet in our system orbits counterclockwise with the exception of Pluto. Pluto orbits clockwise also. The Earth is orbiting right towards Nibiru as it's heading out now. That's why the people in charge built all the deep underground military bunkers around the planet. That's why they built all of the emergency seed vaults. That's why they built FEMA camps for planets or moons. It was caught in the sky, and you can see it's heavily cratered, but it's not our moon. That is not our moon.
A
lot of people.
In Hawaii, you're saying.
The person would not tell. The person would not tell me where it was caught because a lot of these photographs are taken off web cameras from resorts and stuff, and a lot of the web cameras have been shut off to a different way, so they can't see anything anymore. So that. Now, this one thing, I have this at least 5 or 6 times since 2015. It's the same thing every time.
Large moon. Okay, you've seen that in other pictures. And so here's one that looks like our sun, and it's dated 3/17/2016. 3/17. Yeah, 0317.
That thing, you still there? Or there? That thing was caught using a telescope. That's the reddish one. There's only one red one amongst the 4 things. Through history,
what do you think that is?
That is wormwood. That is wormwood from the Holy Bible. It's the destroyer from the ancient Egyptian text by Ipuwer. Ipuwer described it very clearly as a huge reddish mass in the skies over Egypt during the Exodus.
The sun. It looks like it's right up, like
right
to the side of the sun.
Exactly. The Colburn said that this thing would hide near our sun for quite a time, then suddenly it would start showing up away from it. And that's what it's been doing now. People are seeing it more over in Europe than we are over here. Although my friend Dawn Hull up in Washington State, she has a camera that can film in the infrared band.
Right.
And she has caught many, many pictures of huge red things in her skies.
Now,
red
what about
meaning
this one that's blue? It's like the whole thing is kind of blue, so I don't know if the planet's blue.
But what's the significance of red you were starting to say, Bob?
Right.
The red with an infrared camera indicates heat. Okay, because infrared will see everything but just that heat thing. It's a heat signature. So when the skies were all cloudy and everything, she points her camera up into the sky, and she's seeing these 4, and blah, 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 all the way down the list. We have been seeing since April of 2015 4, I repeat, 4 of Nibiru's either their planets, because Nibiru is about the size of Jupiter, if not larger, or their moons. The orbits are quite huge. We've seen a bluish-looking moon or planet with stripes on it. We've seen a silverish-looking thing that was caught in the skies above Hawaii a while back.
I'm looking on the photos. I'm looking on the photos, and there is like a, yeah, it looks like it might be Hawaii. It looks like a palm tree there. I'm going to click on it and enlarge it. And this is on the Aquarian Radio website for those who want to take a look.
Each one of those photographs have a date on them.
Now look at this thing. It says February 18th of 2016. So that was just a little while ago.
Let me get.
That's the one you were looking at. There's one that almost looks like the moon, but it doesn't really look like our moon. It's got some pockets in it, like.
Okay, hold on. I'm getting to it. I'm going to it.
Go ahead.
Going to it right now.
Can you see this, Sash? Sasha has joined us. Yay!
How's it going, Doc? Okay.
Great.
Okay, you're talking about February what?
18th.
February 18th. Okay. Yes, 2016. Okay. February 8th.
No, that kind of looks like palm trees.
No, there's several satellites
There's two
around the larger body. I see exactly what you're saying.
Okay, so February 8th, you said?
18th.
18th, sorry. Okay,
Well,
18th.
It says on the picture it says 02/18/2016, but on the time was 02/25/2016B.
Yeah, it looks like they're real.
And Karen, if you can, I'm sorry you're not by computer. I should have.
Okay, so it's 02/25. Okay.
2016, and this is on for those listeners who are maybe joining us later in the archives. It's on aquariumradio.com. It's
here we go. Yes.
April. Okay, April 5th is when I put this page up.
Oh.
Robert Evans Jr. This is the what you're going to look for is Robert Evans Jr. We the Anunnaki with Janet and Karen.
Okay, I've got the photograph. That photograph is showing. That photograph is showing one of the